As a beginner, the way you would treat any problem is you would take your speaker or your headphones, and you would angle the speaker or the headphones in the angle of the tissue angle. And you wouldn't move that treatment tool at all. You just leave it there. In Fuxiwen at the novice level, the next thing what we're going to do is we're going to use different sounds for heaven, man, and earth. The sound for heaven is called fire chi. The sound for for earth is water chi. That's north to south should be water chi. And the sound for east to west is earth chi. And as you play these sounds, you move the tool, the speaker, or the headphones, you move it up and down for heaven, maintaining the angle for that tissue at all times. You move east to west for man, maintaining that angle at all times, and north to south for earth, the earth plane, maintaining that angle at all times. The angle is essential. Now the question some people ask is, do you move your body or do you move the speaker or the sound tool? You move the sound tool. Because remember, the angle is relative to north to south, the magnetic poles of the planet. It is not relative to you. Regardless of how you stand or how you move, the energy of that resonating energy has to be at the angle between north and south. And so when we're talking about using north to south, east to west, up and down, to manipulate energy in a specific plane to balance the tissue, which is essentially what we're talking about, that heaven, we are going to balance heaven for that angle, we're going to balance earth for that angle, we're going to balance man for that angle, that we have to do that with the sound itself. Because our body, the angle doesn't relate to our body, as strange as that may be. It relates to north to south. And so if we keep the angle where it is, but move our bodies, we're not, and basically hold the treatment tool with us, that's not going to be as effective as actually moving the treatment tool and keeping a stability with your own body. The sounds, the frequencies for heaven, man, and earth, for the man level, east to west, the frequency is 147.85. That's the same frequency as the planet Saturn, and it's one of the healing sounds, the Qigong healing sounds. The frequency for Mercury is 141.27, which is the same frequency as Mercury, the planet. The frequency for water, Qi, is the same as Mercury. And that's for north to south. And for up and down, the frequency is fire Qi, which is 144.72. And that's when you're moving the tool up and down, you use 144.72. When you're going north to south, it's 141.27. And when you're going east to west, it's 147.85. These sounds are all on the website in the Discover Fuxiwen section of under the Treatment Tools drop-down menu. This is different from the Healing Sound Jukebox. With the Healing Sound Jukebox, you don't need to learn anything about tools. You don't need to learn about anything about angles. The sound moves for you. But when you're talking about learning how to do Fuxiwen on yourself, where you're flexible and you can do any kind of treatment at any point, then you need to learn how to manipulate the angles of tissue angles and how to move up, down, east, west, north, south, heaven, man, and earth. Novice theory, we're glossing over the problem. The wrong beads are still on the string when we're doing this, because in order to get a bead off the string that shouldn't be there, we have to use a specific movement of energy to get rid of it, or to transform it, to basically rotate the energy from whatever phase it's in that shouldn't be in to the phase that's helpful. Instead of doing that, and that's something that theory comes later, how we do that, part of the 5-element theory of apprentice level, I believe. Right now, all we're going to do is we're just going to add more beads to the string. We're going to add more earth beads, we're going to add more fire beads, we're going to add more water beads in the plane that it should be in, aligning with the grid in the way that it's supposed to. And this is going to provide a therapeutic benefit, much better than beginner level using just earth chi in one direction for 30 seconds. Actually, adding these beads is going to have a much bigger impact. But still, even with that impact, it's not going to be as strong, nearly as strong, as transforming wrong beads, moving them out of the phase that they're in, and putting the right phases in, and putting the right basically the right set of beads, the right set of the 5 elements onto these strings, onto this jing of the tissue. And all of that comes later. But right now, just know that there's more for you to learn in order to balance yourself even better than you are right now. But at this stage, you can do a lot. You can treat any tissue of your body and help yourself for innumerable complaints. And so I recommend at this point really focusing on tissues and diagnosing tissues. Now, to build some skills so that when we come around to the 5 elements and learn about specific feelings of beads, what I recommend that you do is walk around the room and put your hand out without touching the wall. Just put your hand closest to the wall and know the directions of north, east, south, and west. Bring your compass with you. Then put your hands next to the wall and feel the change in temperature and sensation and texture on your hand as you walk around the room. This theory of the energy that moves around the compass comes from King Wen. King Wen was a king of China who sadly for him was captured by his enemies and imprisoned. So he had a lot of time walking around his cell. And presumably that's how we discovered that energy is different from one wall to the next. And I'm going to quickly tell you what to feel for at different walls. So at the south wall, you should feel heat. It should have kind of a rhythmic buzz to it. Essentially a beat. A heat with a beat. Sounds kind of musical. Okay, at the east wall, when you put your hand near that wall, you should feel basically like tiny little pinching. As if your fingers, as each cell of your fingers is being pinched. Almost like a slight electrical buzz. At the north wall, it should feel cold. Energy is sinking in the north. So when you put your hand near the north wall, it may feel like a sinking sensation on top of your hand and coolness below it. And in the west wall, it should feel dry. Instead of energy that's chaotic, it should feel very uniform, like lots of straight lines touching your skin. These are the 5 elements, and those are 4 of the 5 elements. The middle of the room is earth chi. Earth chi is difficult to feel, but essentially it's like putting your hand in mud. Thickness. Earth chi, there's a lot of earth chi when you feel earth chi. It just surrounds you. That's why earth chi is associated with stagnation, things accumulating together and being very stuck, like putting your hand in mud. These sensations, if you were to start to investigate and explore what they feel like now, by the time we talk about how to diagnose specific sensations and textures within these tissue angles to diagnose the exact imbalance, by the time we get there, this should be old hat, and you should be able to figure that out, that one tissue should feel differently than another one. And a way that you can explore that right now is to take healthy tissues in your body, look at the tissue angle that is associated with that tissue, and just feel what that feels like in heaven, man, and earth directions, up, down, east, west, north, south. And you may find some discrepancies of what I talked about, that heaven should be hot, east and west neutral, and north to south cool. Because different tissues, like I said, have different arrangements of these 5 elements. But at the novice level, we're not even going to deal with these discrepancies. We just gloss over the problem and we fill in the grid. And it's okay and safe to do that.